Well, hey there. This is Zeke. I'm out in my backyard, and I want to talk about this 2020 election. Uh, there were a lot of things wrong with it, if you're honest. You see them. Started out with the insistence that because of coronavirus, it's too dangerous for people to go to the polls and vote in person, which seemed odd to me because the same people are saying it's perfectly safe to go to Home Depot and grocery stores and Walmart, wear a mask and practice social distancing, and you're perfectly safe. But for some reason that won't work at the polls. That didn't make any sense. And then they decided they were going to go with mail-in ballots. Well, okay, fine. I live in Washington State, and it's an all mail-in ballot state, but it took them several years to actually prepare to make sure that the mail-in ballots would be safe and secure. And even with all of that, there's questions. But if they wanted to do mail-in ballots, then what they should have done is have voters who wanted a ballot request absentee ballots, because that's a system that's been in place for many, many years. People in the military use it. People who work overseas use it. And it's a secure system, but the voter has to prove who they are and request a ballot. But they didn't want to do that either. So they just decided that they're just going to grab the voter rolls, which everybody knows that those are screwed up. People die and never get removed from the voter rolls. People move out of state, register in the new state, don't deregister in the other state. So what they did was they just took the voter rolls and mailed out ballots. And in many states, more ballots were returned than actual registered voters in the state. Then add to that several states where President Trump was way ahead stopped counting in the middle of the night on election night, and then some hours later all started counting again, and suddenly all of the votes, or nearly 100% of the votes, were for Biden. And it's my understanding that there are over 450,000 votes that were only voted for Biden and nothing down ticket or down ballot. And that does, statistically, that doesn't make any sense at all. Then on top of that, a bunch of voting machines were used in, I believe, 26 states that were produced outside of the U.S., and the software was produced outside of the U.S., and these are the same voting machines that were used in Venezuela to ensure that Hugo Chavez was elected overwhelmingly. And those voting machines in several states kept reassigning thousands of votes that were for Trump to Biden. So Trump lost those votes that were actually his, and they were converted to Biden votes. And then you hear stories about Republican observers not even being allowed in to observe the counting of the votes in several states. Fucking government. And that's in violation of law. But it happened. And then after the smoke cleared, here's another thing. Mail-in ballots started coming in well before Election Day, but they weren't counted. They weren't counted until after the people who came in to vote in person were counted. And there are some states where they're still counting ballots, and this is the last day in November. Why? Does that make any sense to you? No, it doesn't make any sense to me either. And then finally, after all the smoke cleared, President Trump's legal team came out, and they had a lawyer named Sidney Powell with them, who's not actually part of the team. She's a private lawyer, and laid out what they said was their case for fraud. And if they can prove what their assertions are in court, people need to go to jail. People need to be put to death for what they've done, if that is true and proven. And after all of this, the same people who never accepted that Donald Trump was elected president in 2016 are insisting that he and his supporters just shut up, sit down, and accept it. Nah, no, that's not the right thing to do. Because if what those lawyers asserted happened, it must never happen again. This is America, and my vote counts just as much as your vote. And if you've got people stealing elections on that scale, that can't stand. So, like it or not, you should support President Trump in his fight until it's proven or disproven whether this happened or not. There's my thoughts on it. Have a great day.